Narcissistic men are homos. Their real emotional world does not revolve around women. It orbits around men. That's where their loyalty lies. That's who they want to impress. That's who they emotionally perform for. Women? Oh, they get their body, their demands, and on top of that, their control. But men get their soul. They sleep with women, they marry them, they have children with them. But they do not connect with them. They do not open up. They do not let themselves feel seen because they reserve that kind of emotional intimacy, if we can call it that, for their male circle. The group of men whose attention, admiration, and validation is what matters for them in reality. I know, understanding homosocial behavior, all of that sounds controversial, but things are going to make sense. And that's why I want you to stay until the very end. Hi, I am Samir, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. Welcome to my channel. In this episode, you are going to understand why narcissistic men are homos and how that dynamic slowly destroys the spirit of the woman who they claim to love. Because you see, what you're dealing with is not just a cold partner. It's a messed up human being who can be selectively emotional whenever they know it's going to get them a lot of admiration or the type of recognition they see as important. The emotional disconnect. These narcissistic men that I'm talking about come alive in male spaces. Their voice becomes louder, their energy more vibrant, their charm becomes more believable. You see their enthusiasm and all of that animation. And when they return home to you, it's like someone unplugs their spirit and they become cold, distant, and disconnected all of a sudden. You are forced to wonder what happened. You think, where did that version of him go? The one you caught a glimpse of when his male friends were around? But you never get an answer because he's never that version with you. And unfortunately, the truth is, he never planned to be. These narcissistic men do not have a well-defined sexual identity because they do not have a self. They are sexually whatever it takes. That's why I call them whatever-sexual. Their sexuality is not guided by desire, but by image, performance, and power. They may obsess over women's bodies, but their emotional fixation, the place where they truly light up, that's always tied to other men. They are physically reactive to women, but emotionally always loyal to men. The role of women in narcissistic relationships. Most women in relationships with these men feel confused, unseen, and emotionally starved. You try harder and you love them deeper. You soften your voice, fix your flaws, play the role, do everything. But the connection never deepens. And no matter what you do, you still feel like you are on the outside of his life, looking in. You keep trying to reach a man who only opens up when another man walks into the room. That is not your failure. That is his design. Because he's homos. These men see women as functional objects. You are there to fulfill a role. You may be a wife, a caretaker, a mother, maybe an arm candy. But you are never the main audience. You are never the person he truly shares himself with. The laughter, the stories, and that excitement, none of that is saved for you. It's just reserved for his male friends. You don't get that softness, that vulnerability, and the spark. Because you are not the one who he feels emotionally moved by. Your love, the narcissist's true loyalties, does not land. Affection that does not awaken him. He can do everything right and still feel invisible because your presence was not meant to be cherished. It was meant to complete his image. You were a trophy, a signal to other men that he is desirable, worthy, and powerful. Your beauty was not sacred to him, it was strategic. Your loyalty was not honored, it was expected. You were not chosen for who you are. You were picked because of what your existence says about him. That's why I say, you play a role in their life. That's it. You're nothing more than a function of their ego, an extension of their false self. The impact on women, and what I'm sharing with you, may have nothing to do with their sexual orientation. As I have created a ton of content on this topic before, they can be whatever they have to be to get what they want. And that is also applicable to their sexuality as well. They can be gay, they can be straight, but psychologically speaking, and talking about their loyalty, talking about, all the things I described, their affinity always lies with men, not women. Even though they may be straight, but psychologically, they're always gay. Think about this. He wanted you to look good next to him, but never to outshine him. And definitely not to challenge him. Because if you rise too high, he starts to shrink. Your light makes him feel smaller. And when he feels small, he does not reflect. What does he do? He retaliates, puts you down, and then mocks you. He tells you you're too emotional and too loud. Basically, too much. All while chasing the attention of men he quietly envies. When another man enters the picture, especially one with more power or charm, or let's say influence or presence, the narcissistic man, your husband, becomes a different person, right? He straightens. The narcissist's need for male validation up. His tone changes. His entire energy shifts. He starts to orbit around that man, like a planet clinging to gravity. He mimics his opinions, he steals his confidence, and wants to be seen by him. You may get to see this dynamic online. There may be this one alpha male, and then the other men following him, which he calls his betas. These men have a herd mentality. They may not be sexually into each other, but psychologically, they are. It's like they think the same things in the same way and collectively hate women because they are weak objects. That's how deep this goes. It's not friendship that you see in that group, it's emotional dependency. He feeds off other men's energy the way he drains yours. But unlike you, these men do not have to beg for connection. He gives it to them willingly, opens up, and shares. He shines. You, on the other hand, are left picking up the pieces of a relationship that was never built for you. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. With you, the emotional toll on women is emotionally avoidant. With them, he is emotionally expressive. How come? With you, he is withholding. With them, he is generous. With you, he acts burdened. With them, he becomes magnetic. And you start to realize, maybe you were never his real partner. Maybe you were just the backdrop for a play he's putting on for his male buddies, his bros, his male audience. This is why so many women feel hollow in relationships with narcissistic men. Or think maybe their husband is gay, because you're not just being neglected, you're being used. Not for who you are, but for what you represent. He wanted the status of being in a relationship. He wanted the benefits, but he never wanted the intimacy. He never wanted to take care of the responsibilities that came with being a father or a husband. He does not want to be emotionally held by a woman. He wants to be envied by men. He does not want to be understood. He wants to be admired. And the only people whose opinions land in his nervous system are the ones who carry the same toxic masculine energy he worships. Your feelings, no matter how deep, get brushed off. The emotional disconnect. These narcissistic men that I'm talking about come alive in male spaces. Their voice becomes louder, their energy more vibrant, their charm becomes more believable. You see their enthusiasm and all of that animation. And when they return home to you, it's like someone unplugs their spirit and they become cold, distant, and disconnected all of a sudden. You are forced to wonder what happened. You think, where did that version of him go? The one you caught a glimpse of when his male friends were around? But you never get an answer because he's never that version with you. And unfortunately, the truth is, he never planned to be. These narcissistic men do not have a well-defined sexual identity because they do not have a self. They are sexually whatever it takes. That's why I call them whatever-sexual. Their sexuality is not guided by desire, but by image, performance, and power. They may obsess over women's bodies, but their emotional fixation the place where they truly light up, that's always tied to other men. They are physically reactive to women, but emotionally always loyal to men. This is their normal, but that does not make it any less real or abusive. He walks through the world needing male eyes on him at all times. It's the only thing that keeps him feeling whole. If men admire him, he can breathe. If they do not, he panics. If you admire him, he shrugs. He expects it and does not value it. That's why no matter how deeply you love him, you always feel empty, because you are pouring in your love into a container that has no opening for you. He does not want your intimacy. He wants your submission, your compliance, and obedience. He does not want a relationship. He wants a mirror. Basically, a prop, a background feature that helps him shine where it counts, in front of the men whose enemy he lives for. And when you finally realize this, of course, it hurts. Because you were not asking for too much. You were asking for connection. And you see him offering everything to these men that you always sought. Which tells you, well, he is capable. But in your case, he does not care. Because he sees you as a weakling and thinks you're the fool. You are the one who deserves to be treated this way because you made yourself available. How crazy, parasitic, and predatory is that? Why did I say you were a prop? Because he was always trying to display you, to benefit from you, to stand beside you while reaching for someone else's gaze. He was in a competition with these men. He was never facing you. He was always turned sideways. Have you noticed that? One hand on your shoulder and the other pointing toward his real audience, the men who make him feel alive, the men he performs for. That is a deep wound women carry after being with such a narcissistic man. It's a gut-wrenching realization that you were never in the room with him at all. You were just the lighting crew for his one-man show, a show that was never for you. And this is painful to hear, I know. But you've got to realize it, because truth is going to set you free, right? Conclusion and call to action. Have you experienced this in your life? If yes, let me know in the comments. With that, let's bring this episode to an end. I will talk to you in the next one. Until then, as always, let the healing begin.